Ever felt like time was slipping through your fingers? For me, it was the opposite. Time was clinging to me, stretching, bending. It all started subtly. I'd be standing on a crowded train platform, the world a blur of motion around me, and I'd glance at my watch. It would show the time, sure, but next to it, a small, cryptic number kept ticking up, plus 37 hours. At first, I dismissed it. A glitch, a faulty sensor. Life went on. I worked my 9-to-5 in a sleek, modern office, the steam from my morning coffee rising in perfect, predictable curls. But the anomalies kept piling up. I'd place my phone next to my smartwatch, and the numbers wouldn't match. My phone would say it's 3:15 p.m., but my watch, my personal clock, would insist it was barely past noon. A few minutes I could ignore, but hours, this was something else. A digital ghost in the machine, or so I thought. The real shift, the one that turned a nagging curiosity into a cold, creeping dread, came during dinner with friends. We were gathered around a table, the light warm and inviting, laughter filling the air. It was a perfect evening, a snapshot of happiness. But over the years, those snapshots started to tell a terrifying story. I'd look at old photos, time lapses of our lives. My friends' faces changed. Laughter lines deepened, hair turned gray. They were aging gracefully, naturally. But me? I was a constant. The same face, the same eyes, frozen in time while the world aged around me. I wasn't just out of sync, I was being left behind. My nights became a blur of frantic research. I surrounded myself with books on theoretical physics, my screen glowing with complex diagrams of space-time and relativity. I learned about time dilation, how astronauts in orbit experience time just a fraction of a second slower than us on Earth. I watched visualizations of GPS satellites, their internal clocks constantly adjusted to account for this very phenomenon. It was fascinating, abstract science. But for me, it was becoming a terrifyingly personal reality. Was I in orbit? Was I moving at an impossible speed? The science offered explanations, but none of them fit my ordinary life. My desk job and weekend hangouts weren't exactly missions to the International Space Station. Answer had to be somewhere else, and it was. It was buried deep in my past, in a memory I had long forgotten. A flickering light in an old hospital corridor. I was just a kid, lying inside a noisy, clanking medical scanner. I remembered a sudden, blinding pulse of energy, a strange warmth spreading through me. The doctors had said it was a routine scan, nothing to worry about. But in my mind's eye, I saw it again. That pulse wasn't routine. It was an event, an anchor. It had somehow warped the very fabric of space-time around me, creating a tiny personal bubble of slower time. I was the stone dropped in the pond, and the ripples were my life. Moving at a different pace from everyone else's, suddenly my condition had a name, a cause. And with that came attention. Scientists in pristine lab coats observed me, their faces a mixture of awe and clinical detachment. I became a specimen, a living paradox. They'd run tests, measured the discrepancy. For every hour that passed for them, only minutes ticked by for me. They'd place me in a crowd, a human statue in a river of rushing people. The world was a frantic, fast-forwarded film, and I was the single, stationary frame. It was a profound, crushing loneliness. Seeing everyone you love move on, live their lives, get old while you remain. It's a unique kind of hell. The extra time I was given wasn't a gift. It was a curse. It was the price of seeing everything and everyone you care about fade away. One evening, I stood by my window, the city lights twinkling below. I looked at the watch on my wrist, the source of my initial discovery, the constant reminder of my isolation. The number had climbed to over 1,000 hours. 1,000 hours of life I had yet to live, while the world had already moved on. With a click, I unclasped it. I laid it on the table, silencing its digital whisper. I couldn't change the physics of my existence, but I could change how I lived within it. I decided to stop counting the difference. I decided to stop measuring the gap. As the sun began to rise, painting the sky in slow, deliberate strokes of orange and pink, I just watched. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about the seconds I was losing or the hours I was gaining. I was just present. I was just living in my now, however slow it might be. Out in the vast, silent expanse of space, an astronaut floats, untethered. From their perspective, Earth is a beautiful, serene marble. But for them, time is also different, a concept stretched thin by speed and gravity. My hospital bed in its own way was my launch pad, my quiet life, my orbit. The universe doesn't deal in fairness or equality. It operates on laws we're only just beginning to understand. We all think we share the same 24 hours, the same journey from sunrise to sunset. But we don't. Time was never equal.